I found two corpses in the woods. Hello, everyone. I found something super unsettling, and I'm writing to see if any of you can help me make sense of it. Okay, so some background. I was adopted when I was a baby. I didn't know until I turned 18. On my birthday, though, my mom, adopted mom, but she raised me, so, told me it was time for us to talk. My mind started racing. What did I do? Did I screw up something? I'm mostly an introvert who stays at home and doesn't get into trouble. I'm a good student. I couldn't fathom what could have been so serious that she'd have to give me a look like that. Am I in trouble? Her eyes softened and she chuckled as she held my hand. I felt the icy touch of her skin. My mom's always struggled with blood flow in her limbs, so she's always freezing. I think it's called Raynaud or something. Her fingers got absolutely white when it's cold. I always joked, saying she had dead fingers. Anyway, I'm drifting away. Carrying on. You did nothing wrong, sweetheart. There's just something we never told you, and Dad and I think you're old enough to know. Right, Mike? Dad looked uncertain. Right, I guess. I'm getting worried. What are you going to tell me? There was silence. Oh, come on, spit it out. What are you going to tell me? I'm adopted or something? It was a joke, and I let it out with a nervous laugh. Honestly, it had crossed my mind. My mom had blue eyes, my dad had green, but I had dark brown eyes. When I learned about genetic probability and recessive genes in school, it struck me as odd and planted a seed of doubt in me. My dad scratched the back of his head and looked away. My mom dropped my hand and stared at my shoes, touching the tips of her fingers rapidly and nervously. My laughter died when it dawned on me that I'd hit the bullseye. Wait, really? Is this true? Are you pranking me or something? Honey, it's not a prank. It's true. We wanted you to be old enough to understand. That's why it took so long to tell you. My mind was racing. It changed everything, but then again, did it? We got you from a lady that... There's no way to sugarcoat it. She didn't want kids. You'd been born at home, so there was no registration. She found us somehow. I'm not even sure how, but I think she had some inside information from the clinic that followed your mom, my dad continued. As we were trying to conceive, we came to the conclusion that I was infertile. We know what we did wasn't right, but we took you and registered you as if you were our own biological child. It raised some eyebrows, but we came up with an excuse and things worked out. This is a lot, I said. We know, honey. My mom took my hand again, but we wanted you to know that we loved you exactly the same as if you were born from my own womb. For 2 years, I let it go, but the question was still there. Who was my biological family? So this year, as I turned 20, I asked my mom. She was a bit scared, but she ended up pointing me towards an address in the town nearby. She told me the woman who brought me gave a fake name, which makes sense given the situation. I decided I'd go there, looking for anything that could help. When I got to the town, my first thought was heading to the police station. I said I was looking for my biological family and gave them the address. The officer looked at me with a suspicious face. What's your name again? It's Lizzy. Okay, Lizzy, you must have the wrong address. The address you gave me belongs to a lady that doesn't have kids. She did have a baby about 20 years ago, but the baby had been presumed dead since she was 2 weeks old. I quickly did my math. I was 20. His eyes widened. Can I see your ID? The man took my ID and confirmed my age. Without a second thought, he went to the back and called an old man. I supposed it must be his boss. Here's the one I was telling you about. Hello, miss. I take it that you're Lizzy. Hello, yes I am, sir. He grabbed a newspaper cutout and looked at it, his eyes darting between me and the photo in his hand. I mean, it could be her. Look at the eyes and the nose, he pointed out to the other man. Yeah, but right now? What are we supposed to do? They looked tense. I was close to losing my patience. Excuse me, can you point me to the person you're talking about? They looked at each other. The younger man sighed while the older one just scratched his head. They both looked at a loss. The younger man leaned against the counter and talked to me softly. Look, kid, you couldn't have chosen a worse time to come, honestly. What do you mean? The lady you're looking for, the one that might be your mom, she went missing about 3 months ago, along with one of our officers. What do you mean? Like she ran away? No. See those bullet holes there? He pointed at the wall across the door. Those bullets were aimed at the lady you're looking for. We had search parties out for over a month, but we couldn't find her or the officer that was protecting her. It was a complex case. I can't give you a lot of details. If you ask around, though, I'm sure you'll find plenty of people willing to give you the scoop. It was kind of a big deal. I felt tears flooding my eyes. Without a word, I turned and left. I needed to go for a walk. I needed to think. I had no idea why I was so worried and upset about a woman who gave me away when I was a baby, who didn't even want me. But I wanted to find her, to know that she was okay, to ask her why she didn't want me. At least then I'd understand why. I kept walking until I found myself in the woods. The place was calm and the breeze was fresh and light. The air smelled a lot better than in the city, and the rays of sun dripped solidly through the leaves. I sighed as I sat on a rock. That's when it hit me. A smelly, really bad smell. A smell that would have anyone leave as soon as possible. But for some dumb reason, I followed it. I don't know what crossed my mind. I just did. What I found will keep me up at night for as long as I live. 2 corpses, mostly rotten, barely identifiable. A man and a woman. Their clothes were so dirty and mixed with fluids that you could barely make out the colors. I think the man was dressed in blue. The woman, I'm not so sure. Next to them was something I had never seen before, and gave the whole thing an even weirder and gag-worthy vibe. It looked like a pair of prosthetic legs, but they were hollow. You know, like props that are used in the movies. I was looking at all of that, completely horrified, when I heard leaves rustling. It was steps. I called out for help, and a man accepted. Hey, over here! Oh my God, you have to help me. I found 2 dead bodies. I see. The man looked at the bodies, and to my surprise, he wasn't thrown off by them even a little bit. The look on my face must have given me away, because he laughed and said, "Oh, don't worry. I'm a criminal investigator. I deal with dead bodies all the time." I calmed down a bit. It appeared I was in good hands. A few minutes ago, he told me he was going to call in his team and went back to his car. I'm writing this because I'm wondering what to do. I'm absolutely horrified and traumatized. Oh, I still have no leads on my biological parents. I was going to call the police, but the man told me this is way above their heads and asked me to stay here while he handled it. I think I'm going to trust him. P.S. The man's back and he brought me a cup of tea from his car. How nice of him. So, I've got an update. Sorry for not posting earlier, but the man started getting annoyed with me fumbling around on my phone. I told him I was just checking up with friends and told them I'd be late, but at some point he told me to put it away. He was kind of sharp about it, and I got scared. When I posted, some of you started commenting, urging me not to drink the tea. It also looks like you guys are more aware of my situation here than I am myself. Although it was advertised by strangers on the internet, I decided to take your advice. It was hard, though. At first I thought I could just get by without drinking the tea. However, the man started to grow more impatient. Why aren't you drinking the tea? I'm feeling nauseated. Sorry. Okay, but keep it. It'll be good for you. It's really good tea. It helps with upset stomachs. Okay, I will. So, he asked, sitting on the rock beside me, what's your name? Lizzy. Hello, Lizzy. That's a nice name. Is it short for Alyssa? Huh? I remembered the comments telling me to be careful and decided to lie. No, it's actually short for Elizabeth. In fact, it is short for Alyssa. Apparently, my biological mother asked my mom to keep the name she'd given me, and she'd complied. It struck me as weird that this man went straight to Alyssa, since it's more common to be short for Elizabeth. I see. How old are you, Lizzy? The truth slipped out before I could stop it. I'm 20. I chastised myself internally for sharing that piece of information. His eyes seemed to sparkle, and I knew I'd screwed up. I see. What a wonderful age. What are you doing around town? How did he know that I wasn't from here? Everything seemed to start clicking into place, showing me I was in real danger. I put my hand in my pocket and disabled my phone's sound. I came to see my friend. How did you know I was visiting? His eyes squinted as if he'd hit his finger with a hammer. He realized he'd messed up. It's a small town. I've never seen you around. I just took a guess, he said with a shrug. I smiled and nodded. My insides scrambled in fear. As we were talking, I fussed around in my pocket to dial for help. It caught his attention. What's up with your pocket? Oh, nothing. My hand's itchy, that's all. He looked suspicious, but seemed to believe me. Well, it's about time you drink that tea. Come on, bottoms up. I realized I couldn't stall for long without looking suspicious. I had to come up with a plan. It was time to bring my clumsy self to action. I got up as if I was about to take a big sip. I kept the tea in my mouth and pretended to swallow. Right after I was up, I pretended to trip and spill the tea, along with spitting the one I had in my mouth. With all the commotion, he didn't notice I was spitting. Shoot, clumsy girl, he yelled, clearly frustrated. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. He sighed. You drank a bit at least, didn't you? I did. It was very nice, thank you. He seemed to relax and smiled. There was something utterly creepy about that smile. Okay, good. Soon it'll be okay. You won't even remember any of this happening. I shivered. I remembered the comments about my mother being drugged and not remembering anything. It made sense. This is the man who hurt my mom. When is the team coming? Don't worry about it. It comes when it comes. Can I leave? It's getting dark. No, you were the one that found the bodies. You have to stay and give your statement. He wasn't going to let me leave. I went for a Hail Mary. Okay, but my mom will be looking for me. She knows I'm in town. I need to call her and let her know. He looked at me and seemed to ponder his options for a moment. Having someone looking for me didn't seem to amuse him, so he told me to call her. I took my phone and dialed 911. I stepped away, just enough for him not to hear my voice, or the voice on the other side, and lowered the speaker volume. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, Mom, it's me, Lizzy. I'm going to be late today. The responder seemed to pick up on my cue. Ma'am, are you unable to talk freely? Yeah, exactly. Are you in immediate danger? I think so, Mom. I'm not sure when I'm coming back home. I found something unsettling in the woods. I'm here with a gentleman. He says he's a detective, but I can't leave right now. Are you being coerced to stay with this man? Yeah, that's it. The woods near Franklin, exactly. Okay, ma'am, stay on the line. I have an officer on the way. We're able to trace your call. Yeah, no, I don't think I can. The man started to yell at me. What's taking so long? Okay, ma'am, I understand. Keep the call going, mute the speaker, and lock your phone. Put it in your pocket and act normally. I'll stay here and make sure that everything's fine on our end, and we'll get you some help. Okay, Mom, I love you. See you later. I did as instructed. The speaker muted, my phone locked and in my pocket. I sat back next to the man. How are you feeling? He asked. Mostly okay, I think. Okay. In about 10 minutes, things are going to start getting better. Is the team arriving? Huh? Oh, something like that. I assumed he was talking about the tea. I had no idea what the effect should be, so I just sat there, quiet and idle. I got lost in thought, and without noticing, I found myself looking into the distance. Finally, I see the tea is working. Let's try it. Repeat after me. My name is Alyssa. I didn't move an inch. Apparently staring into the horizon was what he expected me to do. My name is Alyssa. I'm 20 years old. I'm 20 years old. I live in Franklin with my dad, Rob. Wait, what? Was this guy trying to reprogram me? Was that what the tea was for? I live in Franklin with my dad, Rob. I don't know anyone apart from my dad who's here with me. I don't know anyone apart from my dad who's here with me. I could hear sirens in the distance. Apparently, he could hear them too, because he stood up and suddenly stared at me. You little bitch. Okay, repeat this exact phrase when I ask you to. This is my dad. We found these bodies while on a hike. I want to go home now, please. A police car pulled up, followed by another. 2 men with heavy guns exited. Hello, officer. What seems to be the problem? Identify yourself, sir. I was just taking a hike with my daughter here. Sir, identify yourself, now. Just ask my daughter. I'm telling you the truth. Honey, tell these men who I am. I stood up, pretending I was going to talk to the officer, to repeat the phrase that he told me to. As soon as I was close enough, I sprinted behind the police cars. Please help. He tried to drug me. I was the one who called. The officers shielded me. The man, Rob, I guess, turned around and started running away. 3 officers sprinted after him, guns in hand, and the 4th one stood with me. Finally out of sight, I let my emotions overcome me and broke down, sobbing. You're safe now, miss. I'll take you back to the local police station. At the police station, I spent most of the night giving statements and describing the man so they could draw one of those portraits they do when they don't have a picture. I spent the rest of the night here because they thought it was safer to take me home in the morning. I called my mom and filled her in. She was scared out of her mind. Some minutes ago, my mom called me again. Honey, where are you? I'm still at the police station. Why? There's a detective at our door. He says he needs to talk. I thought they were supposed to bring you home. You're still here. I thought you might be. Thanks for joining me for tonight's story. If your insatiable appetite for horror knows no bounds, might I suggest one of our playlists, or one of our previous stories in the archive? There should be one appearing at the end of the story any minute now. And of course, if you're not subscribed, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button? Maybe hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the spooky things that we do here. If you prefer your horror a little more analog, you can always pick up one of my books. There's a link below to my latest, and it'll take you to all the great things that I've posted on Amazon. For my book lovers in the audience, I always suggest coming on down to Patreon so you can become part of my ghostly reader tier and get a book anytime I write one, which is usually about twice a year. Speaking of my patrons, let's go ahead and thank them, shall we? Thanks to Unicorn Hollow for being our spooky ghost contributor. Thanks to Janet and Lady Vengeance for being our spooky skeleton tier contributors. Thanks to Hi Stacy, Winter, Xaronan, Emily Coltsfoot, Stephanie Carrington, Marianne Schuler, Tyler Parker, and Jennifer Damron for being our ghostly reader tier contributors. Thanks, everyone. We just couldn't do the show without you. If you think you might like to support the show in a more monetary fashion, come on down to Patreon. I have many tiers. I'm sure you'll find one that suits you best. I always recommend the Ghostly Reader tier, since you get a signed book anytime I write one on your doorstep. But I have many tiers, and again, I'm sure you'll find one to suit you. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.